Hey guys, sorry, I was finishing up a webinar with another person here, and so I had to take a little break. Let me just wait for the others to come in. We had close to 100 folks sign up. Hey guys, just put in the chat, tell me where you're from. Oh, let's see, everyone's already started. Sacramento, Austin. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Wonderful. Oh gosh, people everywhere. Awesome. All right, one of the things that I want to do, and I meant, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm so sorry. I'm Sheila Folk. I'm the CEO and founder of Travel Industry Solutions. I'm so glad to have you here today. I know we have a lot of the RTIS users on the line, and some of you who attended my previous webinar with host agency reviews. Um, I had planned to send you the full PDF guide for this training prior to, but I'm going to put a link in the chat. It is a Dropbox link. So I'd like for you guys to grab the download. And I just want to let you know that you do not have to take like copious notes. And you know what? Before I start getting any deeper into this, let me hit the record. Oh, it's already recording. Perfect. Okay. You do not have to take copious notes. This is accompanied by that guide. I will tell you that I used these strategies inside of my travel business when I first launched my travel business. I spent about 6 months developing this course. So one of the things that I want to impress upon you guys is that this is not something that you will do in a few days or even a couple of weeks. This is designed to be digested week by week by week by week until you have all of the knowledge and the tools in place to effectively put these strategies at work in your business. You will start having homework though every week. So I will provide you with the roadmap. I'm not sure. I hope I incorporated some of the worksheets. I'm going to have a 10-minute break for everybody today because I do know how hard it is to just sit here for like 2 hours and listen to somebody talk on and on and on. So everybody will have a chance to go, take a quick break, get a glass of water, use the restroom, answer your emails. And I'll try to do that about 55 minutes into the session. I also want to hear from you. I like to make things super informal. You can raise your hand. You can put something into the chat. You can unmute yourself and just kind of speak up or show yourself on camera. Clara, I did make you co-host so you can kind of watch some of the late comers and let them into the session as well. And without further ado, I'm gonna just go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen here. Oh, the link. Told you I was going to give you the link. That's right. Let me get this going. Um, okay. Here is the link to the full downloadable guide. Save that and you can look at it later. But without further ado, so while you're here, you're going to find and win clients, guys. You're going to do this without social media. I will cover a few little social media strategies for you. However, we are primarily focusing on networking, leveraging your network, your friends, your family. This works for both new and experienced advisors. And today, you are going to leave here with real actionable steps to implement inside of your business right away. All right, so we're going to cover 30 minutes to your target client, a networking deep dive, non-awkward ways to get referrals, going where your clients are, networking, finding them online, turning clients into sales or calls into sales. I'll talk a little bit about proposals, when to say no, and then we'll wrap it up. Oops. Okay. So this is the most important thing, guys. You really need to know who you're looking for before searching. I know some of you on this call are likely experienced. You already know who you are, what you focus on. But for those of you who are brand new to the industry, I think it's really important to know who you are looking for. So that would be an identifiable market. So picking a small and specific market to reach those ideal clients. When starting out, it's easiest to focus on a specific type of client. You really need to have an identifiable problem. This is the painful problem that your prospective clients need help solving or alleviating. All right, so if you're targeting adventure travelers, then you want to have a pitch that solves a problem for adventure travelers, or maybe you focus on national parks or experiential type trips. You also need to have a service that solves the problem. Okay, so the three things: you need to have an identifiable market, an identifiable problem, and you need to have a service that solves the problem. So one of the things that you can do to put together your positioning statement is using this shortcut, right? You want to know, you want to end up with a statement such as, I help whatever my market is to whatever the problem is through my service. So I help adventure travelers find off the beaten path services. So you want to tie that all in. That is the first place that you want to start, so you know who your clients are. And when we get later into the session, you're going to know who to also leverage in your network who may have access to those types of travelers. So that's super important. So that is the first step that I want you to take. Does anybody have any questions around what I just talked about? It should be a simple, easy exercise. All right, perfect. All right, I'm working on two screens here. So I'm going kind of back and forth between the two. All right, so what's your action plan today? I want you to fill this in after this call. Your action plan for today is to fill in this form. It's also included inside of your download. So that's what I want you to do as soon as we hang up. All right, next thing, we're going to tap into your network. You do have people in your network that you have not thought about. I promise you, I absolutely promise you that you have these individuals inside of your network. So your close friends and family, these are people who really, really, really want to help you and already trust you to do good work. You may not want to book your sister's trip because she might be a pain in the rear, but your sister knows people who need your services. Professional service providers. Think about realtors, lawyers, accountants, bankers, anyone who provides needed services that others appreciate. These people are connected to and frequently speak with many of your ideal clients. One of the things that I did early on was I partnered with a friend of mine who is not just a wealth manager, but he is a family office. So when you're a family office, you offer all types of services to your customers. And one of the benefits that he offered to his customers was waived planning fees for any trip that was booked through my agency. And of course, back then I didn't even charge planning fees. So that was just an optics thing. So it was a marketing ploy. Business owners and salespeople. So these people could be found at businesses you use or sell products that might tie into your niche. As a matter of fact, I have a good friend from college, and he has, I'm at a loss of words, he has a company that does all of the tchotchke kind of printing stuff, you know, all of oh, somebody help me with the word here. Branded goods, I guess you could say. So he would get in customers who were ordering large quantities of items for maybe a corporate trip or an incentive trip. So then he would start to refer them over to me if they didn't have an agent. Community leaders. So local politicians, youth sports team volunteers, religious leaders, chambers of commerce staff, executives, board members, nonprofits, you name it. They are out there. Organizers of business events, meetups, professors. I guarantee you know at least one person. Former coworkers. To um, think back to people you worked with in the past, whether paid or volunteer positions. I also want you to think about online connections, right? Don't forget about the friends that you've made online or communities in which you are an active participant. A person I once met and helped in a chat room. This is a true story, guys. So I helped him in a chat room for spouses of cancer patients, ended up becoming a loyal and long-term client of mine. My husband was sick. I spent a lot of time in those rooms trying to do research and talk to other people. The guy that I met in there ended up becoming a client. Seriously, clients are everywhere. Trust me. Also, your competitors. Yes, your competitors. So if you know people who are further along in the travel business than you are, it's likely that they often turn down vacation requests that are too small or not the right fit for them. And I used to refer business to other advisors if I were too busy or if I just felt like it was just too far of a departure for me and I just didn't have the time to kind of figure it out. So they would love to refer those requests to someone dependable, and many of them will do a commission split with you. So keep that in mind. All right. Keep your competitors in mind. All right, so those are some of the categories of people here. So your exercise you could even do it tonight or you can do it tomorrow, is I want you to go through each of the groups that I listed inside of the download, and I want you to start putting down names of people that you know and what group they belong to. Because in the next lesson, you're going to learn how to reach out to those contacts. In the next lesson of the download, you're going to learn how to reach out and how to use specific positioning to your advantage. All right. I just said that. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the slides here. So go through each category, write down the name, and don't worry about how well you know them, even if they're just a casual acquaintance. All right, how to get them without feeling awkward, how to get those referrals without feeling awkward. Um, I will tell you that people really, 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 really love to be helpful. I don't know about you guys, but I live in Central Florida and I can throw a rock in any one direction and hit a realtor in my town. And I will say, of my close girlfriends, at least a third of them are realtors. Some of them are realtors in the luxury space, some of them specialize in ranch lands. Some of them specialize in, lakefront or beachfront properties, but those are a great resource for referrals for your business. So, and when you are in that type of business, you want to be really, really helpful to your clients. So think about service-based friends that you know, people who are in service-based businesses, because they understand the level of service that you would offer and they want to provide the same level of service to their customers. Also, when you are reaching out to those individuals, make sure you are very, very, very clear on who you want to help. So after you kind of craft your positioning statement, um, and let's say you are doing solo cruises and your friend works, in ranch lands. It's highly unlikely she has a high number of solo customers who are buying, 10, 20, 50 acre plots of land. So make sure that you're talking to the right person. Does that make sense for everybody? All righty. Let me see what I've covered so far. All right, let's talk about how you're going to ask them. Um, as I mentioned earlier, look, none of us really want to book our family. That's like the biggest nightmare on the planet. But these are people that you speak with regularly and they're invested in your success. So the next time that you see them or phone them, just update them, tell them what you're doing, how you're doing it, who your target client is, and ask them if they have friends or colleagues that they could refer to you. Just make sure that the more specific you are, the better results that you are going to have. The other thing too is you can generate referrals from recent and warm leads. So these are people like business or personal contacts that you've maybe met frequently. Maybe you've been out socializing. Maybe you've been at a party. Maybe it was somebody that was at your work toward the end of your tenure at your work, and you've had coffee with them a few times. These are the people that you want to make sure that you are also paying attention to, because these are the people who can generate referrals for you on a very, very regular basis. As a matter of fact, it was kind of weird, and I have been away from this job for a really long time. All of a sudden I started having a lot of the employees of this old workplace start calling me to book some of their travel. And you know what it came from? I had coffee. I had reconnected with an old colleague that I had been away from this company for 10 years. And we were connected on Facebook, and I remember how much fun we had during our lunches and at work. So I said, you know what? I'd love to have coffee with you. And I just told her what I was doing. I didn't even ask her for any business. I just told her. And she started telling other people who worked in her department. And that's how I started getting bookings. So don't discount some of those people way back from your past, and from those distant connections, like the people you haven't spoken to in a while. Um, your goal, first and foremost, should be to rekindle the connection. So it doesn't mean that you have to become best friends with them and you have to see them all the time. right? You don't have to move this person from being a complete distant connection to your BFF that you hang out with every single weekend or invite over for the holidays. It's really just a simple phone call, email update, etc. That you will make that reconnection from those distant folks. So inside of the packet that I've provided you, I gave you a sample script. So you can use it as a phone script, you can use it as an email script, but it's short and sweet, and you'll want to make sure that you personalize it for each and every person that you send it to or you call. So, an example, let me put that on the screen. Hey, Jane, it's been a while. Just wanted, oh, got a little typo there. Just wanted to reconnect and let you know I'm now busy helping moms plan stress-free vacations. That's a simple, easy way. Or it could be, hey, I was thinking about you. Let's meet up for some coffee. And then you can kind of tell the person what it is that you are doing. I promise you, I didn't build an $8 million agency by relying on digital advertising. It was all through relationships and connections, and it was thoughtful. I knew that it would not happen overnight. But I promise you, if each and every day you work on this inside of your business, you will get one client and the next one, and those two will send you two more and two more and two more and two more. Let's see, we've already gone over the sample script. All right, going where your clients go. This is super, super, super important. You really need to be at the right events. Chamber of Commerce, I threw that in there. I do know that Chamber of Commerce can be a little bit hit or miss. But again, if you start creating those warm connections without pushing yourself on the other individuals, it can come back to benefit you. I think the one thing that I really dislike so much about certain events in town is everybody there is so hungry for business. The first thing that they do is they shove a business card in your hand right away. Here's what I do. They start going into what it is that they do. That is the wrong approach to take. You're there to figure out how you can help somebody else or how you can get to know that person. So when you start thinking about going to those events, please um, approach it a little bit differently. Instead of shoving that business card into their hand right away, ask questions, listen a lot. Local industry associations and groups. Um, there's a lot of professional associations out there that are unrelated to travel. Maybe you are a gardener. Maybe you're super into gardening or you're big into a specific cause. Maybe you rescue greyhound dogs. Maybe you're really involved in politics, for example. And so you're really passionate about what's going to be happening with, property taxes in your area. There are so many ways that you guys can meet people, seriously. Gatherings for insurance brokers, artists, clusters of people who have shared interest with you. Maybe you're a snow skier and you belong to a ski club. There are plenty of ways that you can run into potential customers. And a lot of these groups, exist and a lot of people participate so that they can create friendships and also build their own business. Even Rotary is a great one. So don't discount getting involved. I know we're all busy, many advisors in the industry um, may be working another job or you have kids at home and you're cooking for your kids or your husband or whatever, and you're exhausted, it doesn't mean you have to fill your schedule every single week. But start small and figure out how you can fit at least one event into your life in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That is how you start to create momentum. This is a really cool idea. Meetups. We have a TIS customer, and she told me about this. She lives in the LA area. And when she first started out, she used to host her own meetups, and she would buy pizza and pitchers of beer. And she would just invite people through Meetup. Just, hey, come, join us at whatever time on this day to chat about whatever topic or to just meet people in the area. She has had huge success by doing those meetups. You can even make it a travel focused meetup, but think a little bit outside of the box. Yeah, and Clara, even going to the local coffee shop. So you could think about having uh, a meetup hosted at Panera or your local coffee shop or a wine bar or whatever it is. This is a really great way. And also, if you're interested in, let's say, bicycling or hiking or pickleball or, whatever it is, it's a great way to just keep yourself busy and do something fun and meet new people. Um, Eventbrite. This has a huge directory of conferences and events all over the world, you guys. Um, I know we have First Fridays here at the Orlando Museum of Art, and there are lectures. So that's been a great place for me way back. I would meet really great art collectors. I collect art from all over the world through my travels. So it was something that I really wanted to do and I was interested in, and I had something to talk about with them. I would not suggest that you actually target things that you're not interested in. Don't just go, you know what? I really want to meet high-end art collectors because I want to be in luxury. Have some interest in it. Have something in common with them before you just jump into events that don't make sense for you just because you want to sell to this particular type of person right off of the bat. Um, don't forget to also make sure you are searchable on Google, but Google also is a great resource to find local events as well as Facebook and LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, I go through, Facebook maybe in the evening when I'm winding down and, they'll show little events in my area and I'll go, oh, interested in that one, interested in that one. That's a great way to go and mingle and meet other people as well as, and I didn't mention this, conferences. So, we spend a lot of time going to industry conferences, right? We go to travel focused conferences. Maybe it's Travel Leaders Edge or the Astor River Cruise Expo or our host or consortia conference. But don't discount going to other types of conferences. So, like maybe you are really invested in learning about how to flip homes or invest your money wisely or become a better speaker. A lot of times you're at large tables, just like you would be at our conferences here. You're mixing, you're mingling. So you're not only learning while you're there, but people are learning about you. And so choose some conferences that would fit into your target market but would also be worth your while to attend. Maybe it's a business course that is for all business owners, regardless of the industry that you're in. Does that make sense to everybody? I want to know so far, I'm going to pause real quick, and I want to know how many of you so far have done any of these things in your business? You can put it in the chat. I can't really see. I guess I could see a hand raise. Okay, so we have 1, 2 hand raises. All right, that's a good idea. If you have Apple products, connect with your local store to learn. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one. Clara just did this recently. And that's great because then you can meet other people. You know, your Apple store gives you all of those courses for free. And they have great courses, by the way, but you're there for a while, so it allows you to connect with other people at inside of your community. I know this all sounds kind of far-fetched, you guys, but I promise you it really, really, really is not. And it is a great way to meet people in a non-awkward way where you don't feel like you're pushing yourself on individuals. So, what is your action plan? It's on the screen, you guys. I want you to register for at least 3 different events in the next 90 days and choose those events based on getting in front of the people that you want to target. And Cora, I absolutely agree with you. Your university's alumni association is another great resource. For many years, I participated in the Central Florida Gator Club, and so I was able to also get fellow Gators to start using my services. So great, great, great. All right, so how are you going to network? I've kind of talked about this a little bit. You want to go to help, not sell yourself. Actually, um, I want to step back just 1 minute because I forgot to mention one thing, BNI groups in your area. So the whole idea behind a BNI group is to support other businesses, and they limit the types of businesses that can come in. So if there's a travel agency, they're not going to let another travel agency in. If there's a plumber, they may not let another plumber in, or they may restrict it. But the idea behind the BNI groups is so that you can help each other to promote each other's business, to speak highly about them in the community, and also to help each other. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so back to this, how to network at meetups and events. How do you walk into a room full of strangers? And walk out having made plans for meetings that'll help you, move your business forward. I've talked a little bit about how you can create common connections with those individuals. But we all know at the end of the day what we kind of want out of that event. So just make sure that first and foremost, you are incredibly helpful. The second thing is make sure that you are really, really, really using your positioning statement. Have it down, speak it out loud, look at yourself in the mirror so you can be super precise. When people do ask you what you do for a living. So you don't have to sell yourself, just tell them what you do and move on from that. I will tell you, I recently dated a guy that he felt like he had to say everything inside of his head to whoever asked him what he was up to lately. It used to really drive me crazy. And many, 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 many months into the relationship, it started to annoy me and frustrate me because we would go out, we would be at a gathering or whatnot, and you could see people's eyes glazing over. I mean, literally glazing over because he didn't just say, hey, yeah, I own a technology platform and we provide insurance products to gig workers. Allow people to ask you questions, and that is when the magic happens. So be very, very precise about what you do. Maybe have an example of, oh, I have this recent story with this client who did this, this, and this. Let them ask you questions. That is how you will garner those new clients and interest from people to work with you. Even good conversations need to come to an end. So remember this. Even when you hit it off with somebody, your tendency might be to give them, one last spiel or pitch. Um, but what you can do, rather than taking up all of their time throughout the event, is agree to a coffee or a chat later. That works wonders because then you're not sucking up all of their time at these events from maybe they want to mingle with other individuals. And now you have an opportunity to really dive deep into what it is you do at a later date, but in a casual setting. So if they're really interested in learning more, they're actually going to agree to it. So you're not wasting your time. It's like, I don't know if you guys have seen some of those memes that have been out recently on social media, and you see the guy, he's like running down the street trying to catch the girlfriend who's running away from him or the wife that's running, and he's doing everything that he can, to catch up to her. So when he finally catches up to her, he chloroforms her. Well, that's not the way to get the girl back into your life, let's face it. So in these settings, the best way is to see if they have any interest to meet you later for coffee or to continue the conversation. Sorry, guys, I had something in my throat. Give yourself permission to be awkward, okay? That's another really key component of this is um, give yourself permission to do that. Um, Make sure that you're also approaching people in the right way. So, how do you do that, right? You're going to start with people who are not in conversation with somebody else. I know this kind of sounds basic, but it's really important to be mindful of this. When you're approaching a group of people that are chatting casually, ask if you can join the conversation. Um, all of these things take skill. They do take practice. So you don't have to be perfect right outside of the gate. What I want you to do before you attend any of these events, I want you to review, I think this is lesson 5. I want you to review this lesson before you have before you head out and you attend the events. Alex, yes, the rest of the lesson will be available to view. We'll shoot out an email to everybody after the event is over, probably tomorrow sometime. So thanks for being here today. And actually, we might cover, I don't think this is going to go on for 2 hours. I had slated an hour and 45 minutes. So I might be able to get through a lot of it, and then we'll leave some Q&A time at the end, and then I'll allow you guys to digest the materials a little bit later. So it doesn't look like we've really had anybody drop off the call. Okay. I told you I would cover the online piece just briefly. So finding clients through social media. If it comes naturally to you, you can reach out and you can find people that you want to work with. So I gave you a real life example in here. My friend Susan built her home brewed beer business through an online group of beer enthusiasts. She invited me to be part of her group, and I just started chiming in later with comments and um, tips and, helpful guidance. There are also plenty of online communities It doesn't mean that you should go in there and start blasting your information and posting your website links right away. Again, you want to be helpful. You want to be knowledgeable. We still have a hand up, by the way. Nicole, do you have a question or, and if you do have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself, or I'm wondering if that hand up was from the earlier question that I had. You can put it in the chat as well. All right, I'm going to move on until you do respond. All right, so don't blast, your website address out there. It's a little bit tacky, and sometimes we see that happen. Again, be helpful, join communities that are meaningful to you. Don't spam anybody. Don't, okay, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. Many of those groups have their own rules, so make sure you pay attention to them. You can even create your own online group around a specific subject matter that maybe isn't related to travel, like, adventure travelers, but it could be rock climbers. Maybe you're into rock climbing, and then you start building rock climbing groups, just for example. So you build interest around subject matter, and then travel naturally comes into play for you. If you're brand new, these are some strategies that I don't recommend that you invest your time in right now. And the reason is because these are long-term strategies. It takes a lot to scale with content marketing. Paid ads are super tricky, particularly with a product like ours. However, if you do start doing paid ads, I recommend that you use a professional. I see too many people choosing the wrong demographics or interest points. There are some little nuances, like if you want to target more premium and luxury travelers, some of the interests that you should be targeting is people who like listening to podcasts. And those are things that you may not know as a marketer right away, or in setting up Facebook ads. So defer a little bit later to that. And lastly, I just don't think that fancy websites are needed initially out of the gate. I think that a nice looking, beautifully branded site, maybe a single page, a couple of pages, 3 pages, is more than adequate. And then as you start getting clients in and you've gone through these strategies first, then you can start building content on your site, and working a little bit on your search engine optimization strategy. So for those newer advisors right now, I would recommend that you focus really on getting those clients and those relationships set first. That is in my view, your quickest path. The other is a longer term strategy. Okay, again, just to reiterate, focus on referrals, events, and conversations. Okay. Anybody have any questions before I move on? Everybody set on that? Okie dokie. So let's talk about converting those calls into sales, guys. So schedule real conversations. If you are a customer of TIS, you will hear me preach over and over and over and over again that you should be talking to people. I know we get busy, but so many people today sit behind their computer and they don't have any human connection with anybody. So make sure that you are scheduling conversations with individuals, meeting them, talking to them on the phone. Make sure you are also asking lots and lots and lots of questions. Those questions will help you to determine if there is a mutual fit between you and that customer. Super, super, super important. The sales will naturally come as you just start to get to know somebody. So, an example is I had, a customer, she was calling around to different travel agencies. I picked up the phone. It turns out that her husband passed away from the same type of cancer that my husband had passed away from. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but that's how we kind of built this mutual foundation or connection and this commonality between us. And had I not actually picked up the phone and had a real conversation with this individual and really started probing about who she was and tell me a little bit about yourself and, where are you from? Oh, you were married. Oh, tell me about your husband. And that's how it led to this person becoming a customer. When you're out at events, or even you're communicating online, questions always lead to connection, in my view. So I want you to make sure that you're thinking about connection because the connection then will convert to sales for your business. For those who are looking for a travel advisor, lots of questions that you can ask. Why this trip? Why now? What's your outcome? Why would you work with an advisor? These are really key components to determining if your customer is a right fit for you. Do yourself a favor as well. Turn down people who aren't a good fit for you. Do yourself a favor and really pour all of your energy into those individuals that are a good fit for your clients. Um, because or before your agency, when you do that, that kind of creates a rinse and repeat type of system inside of your agency. All right, I'm going to move on to some of the proposal components to this. I have so many feelings about proposals. When you're starting out, particularly when you're starting out, I recommend that you put together a really nice looking itinerary for your customer that has beautiful imagery that really outlines the day-to-day schedule. I cannot stand getting something from somebody that doesn't have almost like a table of contents. I love having a day-by-day summary. Also, the pricing and inclusions. You can include a link to your terms and conditions, the deadline for accepting your proposal, and the revision limits. But when you go to send the proposal, so now you've crafted this beautiful proposal that really outlines everything that, gives them some idea in their head as to, visualizing themselves sitting on that beach, sitting in that room. When you go to send the proposal to your client, and for any of the TIS Gold and Platinum members that are on the call, we have those proposal scripts inside of the email workflows. That proposal one script. Start by saying, thank you so much for allowing me to plan this for you. Let me give you a few details about this proposal. I chose this stateroom because I know you wanted a midship stateroom, but this was not available. So I gave you mid-aft because of X, Y, and Z. I know you wanted to take the tour in Rome on Monday. You'll find that I placed it on Tuesday and moved a few things around because the tour does not operate on Monday. The reason you want to do this is it demonstrates that you actually listened to your client. So you've moved past who you are as an agency. You've now identified people who now want to work with you. Now you're planning their trip. And now you want to show that you can deliver on everything that you've mentioned in the past. So in that proposal email, make sure you are outlining that It shows you listened. I promise you, it minimizes back and forth with that customer. I can't tell you how many times I've asked somebody to do something and then they just deliver back a product to me and they don't explain why they did what they did. And the first thing that enters my mind is, did they not listen to me or are they incompetent? And you don't want your client to think that about you because you're so excited. You spent all this time networking, going to these different events, and now you have your first proposal that you're sending out and you're demonstrating you didn't listen. You're just sending the proposal onto them or the itinerary onto them. Does that make sense to everybody? And then, of course, make sure you have all of your legal disclaimers in there. Airfares non-refundable, prices aren't guaranteed until booked, yada, yada, yada. So you'll want to make sure that you have all of those things in place inside of your email. Or if you guys schedule Zoom calls, that's another great way. Don't send a written proposal or a link to your Travefy itinerary. You can schedule a Zoom call, walk them through it, then provide them the link or the written proposal to look at a later date. But this allows you to communicate, read their face, and get a temperature as to where they maybe are in the process. You guys, this is really important. If the word discount comes out of their mouth, they're not likely the best customer for you. If you have the word discount or deal in your agency's name, you're going to attract people who want discounts. You don't have to get overly clever. If you're just starting out and you still haven't even come up with a name yet, you don't have to get overly clever about your name. It could be Sally's Travel, seriously, but it shouldn't be, Sally, the travel deal expert. If it's outside of your expertise, sometimes it's better to walk away, especially when you're new. I want to talk, though, a little bit about expertise before I move on to the budgets. The last 2 points is, while I am an expert in Regent Seven Seas cruises, I don't solely focus on Regent Seven Seas cruises. I believe you should be an expert in your customer. And then you should learn how to choose suppliers that meet your expectations and your customers' expectations. And that way, you can deliver a certain level of expertise to all of your customers, because then you can lean on your suppliers to give you sort of that high level knowledge. So, but initially, if you are starting out, try to hone in on a few areas. And again, if you really, really, really want to work with the customer, then choose your supplier wisely and lean on them to provide some of that expertise. Unrealistic budgets and expectations. Here's a way that you can solve this if you're still not comfortable with, everybody, I think, should ask, what's your budget? A lot of times people go, oh, I don't have one, or I don't really know. What does that look like? Here's a great way to push this over the finish line. So I can generally get a sense through the questions that I go through with the client when I'm thinking about planning the trip or when we're discussing the trip planning. And so generally what I do is I give them a proposal that's based on what they want, what they've asked for, what the experience is that they've expected. But in the back of my mind, I always know what can be cut out. And so when I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not, when I would first start working with new clients, about whether or not they really had this to spend, but I wanted to give them what they asked for, I would usually schedule a call with them. And then I would review the budget. And then if they said, oh, that cost way more than I expected, then I would have the conversation as, well, what in here could you live without? Do you have to have a private driver? Can you have shared transportation? Do you need to stay at this type of hotel, or would you be okay with this type of property? That's the way that you can frame it and not lose a client and keep that sale, and then begin to understand your customer a little bit better for the next time that they come around. And then, of course, impossible timelines. So many people will have unrealistic expectations about timelines. Don't feel like you need to kill yourself to meet a completely unrealistic timeline. It's okay to say, look, I really need a couple more days. I can't turn this around in 3 days. I'm going to need 5 days, and explain to them why. There's a lot of back and forth between suppliers. There's a little bit of research. I want to make sure that I'm understanding and meeting your needs better. Make sure you are protecting your time and your sanity and your skill. And I think that we're not even going to end up taking a break today, guys, because we're going to get this through this a little bit quicker, and then we'll have the Q&A here shortly. Don't wait for the perfect time to get out there. Please do not wait for the perfect time. Every day, I want you to take small actions inside of your business. Work on it slowly. And guys, I did realize I don't have the worksheets included in the larger document, so I will send those in the follow-up email, but there are a couple of worksheets. I want you to block an hour a day of time writing down the people that you know. Some of my first clients came from, like, I don't even remember who it was. It was like my college roommate's brother who worked for a company who did X, Y, and Z. Start writing down who you know. Start looking at events in your area. Start thinking about how you can connect with people. Start reaching out to your BDMs. Another good tip: if you have any friends who have an amazing home and they are on the wealthier side and you want to target a luxury clientele, ask them to host a cocktail party for you in their home. A lot of these suppliers, if you put together a business plan and show you have a network, they'll give you co-marketing dollars for this. And then just remember, progress, it beats perfection any single day of the week. You do not have to take every training course out there. You do not have to take every supplier training, every insurance training, every training that your host agency provides you. And then, you're 4 months into this and you still have no income. Get out there and do it. I promise you, you do have authority from your past life. You can lean on resources like I have provided to our industry through Travel Industry Solutions to kind of give you that little bit of head start. So no more waiting, guys. No more excuses. I want you to go out there. I've given you this packet and all of the exercises in it. And once I couple the other worksheets, you should be working on this every single week and finished with it in about 6 weeks. If you actually stop after you've done the exercise and taken the action, and then read the next, and then take the action, read the next, and take the action. And then before I open it up for Q&A, for those of you who don't know who we are, so I am a travel advisor. I started my agency 8 years ago. I grew it to 8 million in sales with just my mother and I in 2 years, just the two of us. And yes, I did start with a $900 cruise. That was my very, very first client. I got out into my community and I networked. I reached out to people I knew, but I also treated every single customer like they were my private jet customer. And that led to huge retention and a great number of referrals, because guess what? That 25-year-old who's looking for that budget trip, maybe the next CEO of Carnival Cruise Lines or IBM or whatever. So make sure that you treat everybody, the same way. But through that process, I identified some gaps. I had a chargeback that was levied against me by my very best friend from college, who is a lawyer and who committed a fraudulent chargeback against me. So I vowed to, one, never let that happen to another travel advisor, and we developed legal products on demand for travel advisors, as well as coupled all of the tools that I used inside of my agency to help me grow. And we've also brought in a lot of outside educators. So if you're interested in learning more about TIS, you can set up a one-on-one demo and we'll be happy to walk you through the system. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. I'd love for you guys to show your beautiful faces if you do have questions. So any questions so far from anybody in the group or comments? Everybody's got this down pat. Hey, Clara.
Hi.
If you guys have a demo, you will probably meet Clara. So Clara is a TIS user. She also owns a travel agency, and she was a huge fan of us from the very, very beginning. And so anyway, she is working with us on helping you guys be incredibly successful inside of your business. Cindy, she said this training is great. Thank you so much. It's been really helpful. Great. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. These are things that people really don't talk about. They really go straight for some of those quick fix solutions or ideas that really don't end up being a quick fix. It doesn't mean, look, I'm a marketer at heart. I spent 20 years in marketing. And so I'm not saying to discount other types of marketing. That's not at all what I'm saying. But if you really want to grow your business in a meaningful way, it all starts with making human connection and relationships. Does TIS have any advice about seeking a mentor as a newbie? You know, I'm still a hosted advisor. And inside of my host agency, and I know this is true for many host agencies, not all, but many of them. There are all types of advisors inside of these host agencies. You're going to find corporate agents, you're going to find group experts, you're going to find new people, seasoned people, you name it. I highly recommend that you attend their annual conference and get to know those individuals. If you have an internal type community chat, you can reach out to agents inside of your host agency. There are so many that are willing to help you. If you're with a smaller boutique host agency, a lot of times that agency owner has such a vested interest in your success. And so they're willing to dedicate an hour or 2 hours a week to help you. The other thing, if you're not an ASTA member, ASTA has a lot of great chapters all over the country. I'm part of the Central Florida chapter, and we are incredibly active at our chapter. So there's tons of different advisors who also would be so willing to lend a hand. I don't do private consulting anymore. I just don't have the bandwidth. I will tell you though, if you're a TIS member and you reach out to me and you have really a specific problem that you want to solve, I'm always available, and some of our team members as well. So I would start one with your host agency. If you have a community where you guys, it's a closed community, go to their annual conference, and then look at joining ASTA and your local chapter because they have meetings frequently. Okay, Nicole has established a referral program. That is amazing too. You can definitely do it. I don't know, Nicole, if you monetize yours or not. You know, there's no right or wrong answer to it. If you want to monetize a referral program and give your client a $50 credit toward their next trip, great. If it works for you, beautiful. If your referral program is built around you referring people to that person and they refer them back to you, and there's no monetary exchange, that's great too. If it's just that your clients love you so much and they want to refer people to you, and they do it over and over and over again, that's also wonderful. If that is the case, excuse me, I highly recommend that you show appreciation to those clients. I am big in my friendships, with my family, with my customers, with my colleagues in showing meaningful appreciation. So I've told this story a million times, but I love this one because people are always like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." I have one client, she's really into gardening, and before I know it, like literally her entire family became my clients. And so I sent her a bulb one year to plant in her garden. So when spring sprung, the bulb sprung, and it made her think about me. So that's a great way too. Um, Shannon, did I have a mentor? I am a lifelong personal growth junkie. And so I am very reflective on everything that I do in my life. And I know this is kind of a little bit, it's probably not what you're expecting, but I reflect a lot. And so I'm always seeking for better ways to do business better, to be kinder, to be more present in my friends and family's life, my daughter's life. And I had somebody that I met in my mid 20s who was a mentor in my previous job. And she's now 80 years old and she is still my mentor today in life. So when I think about mentorship, it wasn't so much mentorship on how I necessarily booked things. It was how I connected to people and I was more present and how I paid attention. And that led naturally into engaging and connecting with the right type of clients that I wanted in my life. Does that kind of make sense to you a little bit? I mean, of course, I did have people who kind of showed me the ropes a little bit inside of the travel sector because it's really overwhelming when you get into this business. Like, I've been a high level executive in multiple jobs. And when I got into this, I was like, holy, bleep, bleep. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. But I would say focus more on what you already kind of know inside and someone that you really admire in your life. They may not necessarily work so much in the travel sector, if that's kind of the type of mentorship that you're looking for. When it comes to, because I think that we all have a lot of really good intuition. Um, the Wonderful Gourmet. I love that. That is unbelievably amazing. Um, I think a lot of the information that you've gotten in this session today is going to help you to connect to the right people in the right groups that are going to help you to connect with these types of travelers. I know for a fact there are several highly, highly successful advisors who are in the adventure foodie space. And it all started with sort of this networking piece. Don't hesitate to rely on suppliers too. And if you're not getting what you want out of your supplier, because I don't think that they're all created equal, the BDMs are not at all created equal. Some of them are just going through the motions every day. If you feel like you're not getting what you want out of them, move on to the next one who will help you and mentor you and help you to set up these things and, pull a lot of stuff together. Um, don't be afraid also to look at other services outside of the industry. So, for instance, I have a very good college friend. She's brilliant, and she developed an app called Wine for Me. And look at some of those people who are in the community who can help you in that regard. Okay, $50 off and $50 off to the new client. So Nicole does monetize her. That's like super easy and clean and easy, super easy, clean. Everybody can get on there with their life and the clients appreciate it. Be Better Junkie. I love that. I am just finishing up Untethered Soul. So I'm a Michael Singer fan now too. So I love that. I love that in you, Crystal. And uh, Shannon loves that book as well. So my next one's kind of boring. It's Software as a Science. So I'm going to have to really pay attention to that one on my long walk. All right. Any other questions, you guys? Bittersweet. Okay, I'm going to write this down. Bittersweet. I have a few of them saved in my Audible because I take a walk every day, so I like to listen to them, even though I like the paper. But, with time, the Audible is easier for me. And I know everybody's read Let Them. It took me a while to get into it, but I ended up starting to connect the dots a little bit later. All right, guys. I'm going to send out an email to everybody. It's not going to be today. It may be tomorrow. I will include the download. I will get the additional worksheets for you as well. I will include a link to the recording so you guys can go back. I will include a link if you want to set up a live demo. You can also go to our website right now, and on the top you can watch a demo, and then after that it prompts you to sign up for a 15-minute live demo. And if it's in the morning, it'll be with Clara. If it's in the afternoon, it'll likely be with me or Scott. So I hope everybody has a really awesome rest of your day and a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope everybody found it really helpful. Have a good one.